The Thurgood Marshall College Fund plays a key role in preparing leaders for tomorrow, and in celebration of the 60th anniversary of the Supreme Court's decision of Brown versus the Board of Education, the Thurgood Marshall College Fund is embracing the milestones through various programs. Here with more is the president and CEO of the Thurgood Marshall College Fund, Johnny C. Taylor Jr. Welcome. Tongue twister and a little bit of a history lesson. Let's start at the very beginning. Tell us about Brown versus the Board of Education.
So there was this case that preceded it called Plessy versus Ferguson, which essentially the court held that the states could actually engage in segregated education, particularly in public education. The Supreme Court came back, and with the lead being Thurgood Marshall himself, and said not so. Separate and is by definition not equal, and therefore we paved the way to integration as we know it today, so that your child, my child, white children, everyone could come to school together and enjoy at least the prospect of enjoying the American dream. And
having a stronger education as well. Again, we talk about these things, you know, in middle school, and then we forget about them sort of as adults. So this is a great time for the Thurgood Marshall College Fund to really remind people of why this is still a topic. So tell us more.
That's right. You know, it's interesting. Not only we talked about it, I think, when we were in school, but what's really amazing to me is when you talk to this younger generation, the millennials, they have no clue because it was 60 years ago.
So scary.
And it's really scary because they are the beneficiaries of it. What's even more scary is because they have no clue, they're liable to return and repeat the past.
Right.
So, you know, in many ways, right now, although we don't have state-sponsored segregation in our cities, many of the cities, they're the haves and the have-nots. If you don't live in the right neighborhood, even if it's public school, then you don't get the best education. It kind of still is separate but unequal in many ways. Right here in Washington, D.C., we talk about that all the time.
That's right. So what is the College Fund doing to not only educate people but change this dynamic?
So aside from the fact that we're going to celebrate the 60th anniversary, the 61st, the 62nd, the 63rd, and make sure that people know about this, what Thurgood Marshall himself did, and what that case, the Brown versus Board of Education, you're right.
I know, I'm sorry.
This morning,
tongue twister.
what it stood for and what it means today. But we at the Thurgood Marshall College Fund, what's really important is we were named after, obviously, Thurgood Marshall.
Right.
And he was #1 in his class at Lincoln University, a historically black college and university, as well as #1 in his class, law school class, at Howard University, another HBCU as we call them. So we think it's our job to ensure that people know about the great work that was done and to continue the work necessary to ensure that we don't return to sort of a pre-Brown versus Board of Education era. What do? Teacher Quality and Retention Program. It's one of our programs where we make sure that students know the value of teaching. I often say law schools don't make lawyers, medical schools don't make doctors, K through 12 teachers do. And so we need to ensure that in all of our public schools we have diverse teachers, highly talented teachers in all of our classrooms, so that it's not separate but equal in a post-Brown versus Board of Education environment.
Are you seeing more people who have been out of work because of the bad economy going into teaching jobs? It seems like a great way of using those skills and using those great years of experience to help the next generation.
We do, but I'm careful. I don't want people going there because it's the default job.
Sure.
I don't have a job, and therefore I'm going to go there. We want people who are committed to educating our future Americans. So we are seeing that, and what we at the Fund do is we identify those folks and try to help give them the skills necessary to be effective school teachers, not just school teachers because they need a check. The other thing that we really spend a lot of time doing is identifying the black male problem, focusing on getting teachers in the classroom who can connect with black males, making sure that our black males understand the value of education. So we have a lot of scholarships focused on that, development programs to ensure that they're ready to not only get to college, but to get through college. And how do we pay for it all?
Exactly.
Well, you know, as a professional beggar, it's my job to tell you, right? We host a major gala here every year for years. 25 years it was in New York City. It's now in Washington, D.C. It'll be held this November. It's a leadership institute where we bring in 500 of the best and brightest students on publicly supported HBCU campuses, and you all help pay for it. Have this gala this year. It will be on Wednesday, November 12th, here in Washington, D.C. at the Washington Hilton. And you know, last year it was Jennifer Holliday and Bill Cosby and everyone.
Oh, wow.
And the goal is to celebrate Brown versus Board of Education, celebrate the life of Thurgood Marshall, the man, but more importantly, to use use all of the monies that we sort of raise to help ensure that there are future Thurgood Marshals.
Absolutely. So what are you doing between now, the anniversary of Brown versus the Board of Education, through your gala? Do you have events staggered?
Throughout the year. So we have regional events in New Jersey. We just completed a big Awards of Excellence event in New Jersey. We will have our TQRP, the Teacher Quality and Retention Programs. We will have them all summer around the country, identifying aspiring teachers to go into our rural and urban schools.
Excellent. Where can people find out more information?
www.thurgoodmarshallcollegefund.org.
Great. Thank you so much for inspiring us, and we look forward to learning more about your award winners in the winter time.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much. More Let's Talk Live's coming up. Stick with us right here.